As you can see, I'm in the closet. Huh?
Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm Cyranex, clocking in with my good friends, 9 of 12.
Hi there.
And that one weirdo.
You know, I can't help but to think about how many vampires I've backed into because I couldn't see them in my mirrors.
It just keeps on going.
And we're back!
Yes, we are finally back. Had a little bit of a break just for personal reasons. This has been, last month or so has been a little stressful. Work changes and just health stuff going on. So we took a little bit of a break. And
we all needed to do stupid adulting way too much.
Yeah.
For what? I don't even know. March.
Like 3 weeks. Yeah.
The Ides of March came and would not leave.
Last year was March. But yeah, so
Mercury was in retrograde and said, "Take that."
Everything was mad as a March hare.
Yeah.
Retrograde this.
And honestly, like the only thing that's different now is the fact that it's April and we're still dealing with pretty much all the same garbage. So
and I'm in a closet.
I've had some bright spots.
Yes.
Finally, so.
Yes.
There's little good stuff along the way.
I'm only worried about deportation, not so much just becoming homeless anymore. So, there's a bright side.
Upgrade. Look at that.
Yeah. So those who are wondering a little bit more of this conversation, we talked a lot about this during our pre-show. So if you want a little bit more details of some of the references we were just talking about, you can listen to that. But yeah,
and all about our personal lives on Patreon.com.
Yeah, and how we are living into it, how this little dumpster fire ornament is the official mascot of the United States of America right now. So,
and I gotta be honest, I used to be really caught up in messing with people, and I've actually tried. Actually, no, I take that back. Lithium has told me to try to scale that stuff back. Lithium, or as I like to call it, the puppet master pill.
Yeah.
It helps, but even with everything's happening, and my favorite thing is the other side. When you have people that I appreciate that are quote unquote journalists, but they're like, oh, well, look on Twitter, they're all turning against this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, they'd still vote for him again, right? You do realize that we just don't learn. Square peg, round hole.
Yeah. At some point, if this all continues, I might just do a random one-off political episode just to rant, but that is not why we're here today.
No, we are not doing the part-time shamers.
Yes.
No, that'd be the part. No, this one would be called the part-time blamers. You're welcome, Sean. Look at that.
I do know.
You plant the seed, you sprinkle that in water, and let it grow.
I do, Theo, have the perfect place for you to live. Have you heard of Ashland, Oregon? In Ashland, Oregon, there is naturally lithium oxide in the water.
Oh, nice.
Yep. My daughter lives there. It's a very happy place.
It's a very
Hey, are you going to get out of the
place.
water? It's been 2 years. I am finishing all my screenplays. You shut up.
All right. But on that note, we are officially back. And with that, let's go ahead and get back to work.
Morning break is over.
So for those who've been keeping track, we did decide to keep the same theme that we started up last month of fishing games, and didn't want to skip over this one especially. This is one of the kind of the big titles in that genre, I guess, of fishing games. We're going to be talking about Dave the Diver.
Not to be confused with Bob the Builder.
Yes, I guess.
It's like they're cousins. I couldn't help when I was playing
cousins,
it today.
yeah.
I literally went, Dave the Diver, can he swim it? I'm like, it's stuck in my head.
All right. Yep. Dave the Diver, developed and published by Mint Rocket. Need to make sure that you catch that T and not say Mini Rocket because it is Mint Rocket. Anyway, is $19.99 on PlayStation and Twitch and PC and Mac via Steam. This is since I saw this game, I knew this was one that was probably that was a pretty big deal. Very looks to be a very fun game. It's still on my wish list. At some point, I will probably get it because it does have quite a bit of gameplay to it. Like minimum, I've seen for like a general casual run is like 20 hours. So it's definitely got a lot of content to it. Basic synopsis: casual single player adventure RPG, featuring. Where was I getting an L out of that? Featuring deep sea exploration and fishing during the day and sushi restaurant management at night. And at first, that seems like a very strange combination of like you have this whole diving aspect and then you have restaurant, which normally those two things are completely different games. But they mixed them together in this and it actually works surprisingly well. Players control Dave as he explores the depths of the mysterious blue hole, which somewhat unfortunately named, I guess, but it is appropriate for what it is. It's just a giant blue, like inland sea almost, it looks like. But the one thing that I really appreciate about this game is they tell you a bunch of things and then just don't give you any explanation behind it. It's like, oh, it's the mysterious blue hole. It changes every day. Why?
Yeah.
You don't need to know. This is just what it does.
Yeah, it's like a sea folk tale, like something from Pirates of the Caribbean. The Blue Hole, Captain Jack Sparrow, Kaiser Sose, like woo, spooky language.
Yeah, and I really actually kind of appreciate the fact that they've done that, where they just like you don't have to explain why something is this way. This is how it is. That's all you need to know. And they just keep on going with that. But Dave goes into the depths of the mysterious blue hole, uncovering its secrets and gathering fish, ingredients, and other materials for his colleagues. And you start off this guy named Cobra calls you one. Like, I love the opening cutscene where Dave is just like on the beach somewhere. And Cobra calls him. It's like, hey, we got this whole thing that we could potentially do. And he just flies over there. And Cobra has gotten this chef named Bancho to open up this sushi restaurant. And another thing that is great, before we start getting into like kind of the gameplay elements, I love the aesthetic of this game, how it combines the pixel graphics with the 3D environments. It's on paper it's shouldn't
pleasant.
Yeah, it shouldn't work this well. Having that level of difference between the elements, between the assets in the game, but it just works so well. The aesthetics in it are fantastic. The cutscenes, especially like when Bancho learns a new recipe, there's a couple different cutscenes he can get.
Those are so hilarious. Those are worth every moment. It's like, because all of a sudden you're in an anime, right? It's so anime.
It's like,
aesthetic,
he's sharpening.
Which doesn't go with either of the aesthetics happening already.
Yeah.
It's
and
like, he's like,
is like accurate, like cut, like,
oh yeah.
You like the first time it happened, I was like, did the game change?
Yeah.
Same game, right?
Basically.
Oh, okay. It's a recipe for, what is he making? So it throws you for a nice loop, even though it's very much in the same. I mean, it's in the right tense. It's very much of the game, but like the first time around when it happens, you're like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with Jess.
Gruyere pups it is. Let's do this.
I agree with with Jess. Wow, man. I'm sorry. My work schedule has been way wonky, and I'm supposed to be going to sleep in like an hour, so I'm a little bit tired. Anyways, I agree with Jess in our chat. The cutscenes for Duff, who's the weapons designer and everything, are just hilarious because it's like, let's take this, like, imagine the like stereotypical otaku type character, like, just the supreme anime nerd, and put him in like magical girl type cutscenes.
Yeah, like he
There's-
gets to be the thing he always wanted to be.
Yeah.
The weird nerd in your basement is like actually running this shit right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he frightens me because he's not in his basement just watching anime and stuff like that. He's in his basement watching anime and making guns.
Yes.
He
Well,
is
now I
by,
feel threatened.
yeah, he's by far the most threatening character in this cast.
Yeah, he ends up being
Yet adorable.
chair guy.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, you got this wide cast of characters. Dave, Cobra, Duff, Boncho. They. So before we get too deep, let's bring it all back and kind of talk about some of the basics. Where there is so much in this game. I mean, they introduced new mechanics all the way to the end of this game. So we're not going to go through every single mechanic because I don't think we really need to, because most of the time these new mechanics they have it paced pretty well, so you're not getting super overwhelmed by like getting a bunch of mechanics at the same time. But
Yeah, it's
those
paced well. It kind of tutorials in
yeah
its own way throughout.
yeah. So a lot of these mechanics you get tutorialized pretty well when you get those mechanics, but there are a couple elements that very early on in the game, like some of the basic gameplay, that might not necessarily be the most tutorialized. So I want to touch on some of those and just like some of the real basic level mechanics. So there's basically two different sides to this. There's the diving side and there's the restaurant side. So for the diving side, normally you start off, you can dive twice per day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. You can eventually, through the story, you'll be able to gain the ability to dive during the night. But the problem with that is that cuts into the amount of time you can have the restaurant open, which ultimately would mean you're going to potentially make less money that night. So it is a little bit of a trade-off because there are certain fish that you can only get during the night. So you have to make that little trade-off. It's like, okay, do I want to get these rarer fish so I can use them for ingredients for the, more expensive ingredients and stuff like that.
Yeah, time management is a major mechanic in this game.
Yeah.
Through the whole thing.
Yeah, because there are certain activities you can only do at certain points in the day. When you're diving, you always have your knife. You always start off with your knife and your harpoon, but eventually you are able to get duff to make weapons that you can take with you as well, and they range from an underwater sniper rifle to just a basic rifle to what is kind of a shotgun. They call it the triple axle. It actually fires like 3 shots at once. It's not like a shotgun. Well, I don't think shotguns would really work that well underwater anyway. But anyway,
No.
You have a couple but I do think some of the better, like one of the better weapons to get, especially for the actual catching the fish, is the hush dart, which is basically like a tranquilizer dart that you can shoot. Because one of the other elements of this is, depending on what method you use to catch the fish, changes the quality of the fish, denoted by the star ratings. And what that quality measures is how many portions you can get from that fish. So the least efficient is killing the fish outright, using a gun or whatever method. Killing the fish usually ends up with a 1 star, and you're going to get only a small number of portions from that fish. Capturing a fish alive using the harpoon gives you usually 2 stars, and that gives you a little bit more portions. Now, the best way to do it, for the sake of getting the most portions per fish, is to capture them alive without using the harpoon. So using like the hush darts, tranquilizers, or nets, you can capture it alive. It gives you 3 stars and gives you the most portions per fish. So that's the most efficient way of capturing fish to sushi ratio, I
Can I
guess.
say how much I like that is true though.
Yeah.
Like that's true to life for fishing and hunting.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is a good element to that as well, that a little bit of realism in that fact where it's like, yeah, if you fill something full of bullet holes, you're not going to get as much good meat out of it. Oh, but if you catch it with, if you put it to sleep or you catch it with a net, you're going to get the whole thing. So there are certain things where it's like if you're trying to catch like a particularly rare fish or something like that, like some of those nighttime fish, or there are events throughout the story, like you have like a tuna party where there's these big tuna that are swimming throughout the blue hole at that point, but there's a very limited number of them. So being able to capture them with a net, that's actually what they suggest at that point, is to capture them with a net. You can get the most amount of meat from each fish, which is really good for these limited quantity fish. For ones that are more plentiful, using a harpoon or using a gun is like going against a shark. A lot of times it's very difficult to put a shark to sleep sometimes. So it's like, yeah, just shoot it with a gun. Just kill it and get the meat. Anyway.
Yeah.
But that is one of the things that's not really tutorialized, not explained very well, I think, from the gameplay that I saw. So that is one thing.
It lets you make mistakes and learn it though. Like,
yeah. And honestly, that's not that huge of a mistake.
Gives it some, otherwise it wouldn't have any challenge, I don't think, to it.
Well, I mean, there is still a challenge in the game in the fact that there's boss fights and stuff like that you can do. So there is that gameplay challenge throughout the game. Another little bit of challenge are when you're using the harpoon and you're about to capture a fish. A lot of times, I think it's dependent on the level of the harpoon itself against whatever fish you're facing. But a lot of times when you're about to capture a fish with the harpoon, it'll go into this QTE event. And one thing that definitely is not tutorialized at all is explaining that QTE event is not dependent on the fish or anything like that. It's dependent on the harpoon tip you have equipped. So at the very least in the gameplay that I watched, it did not, I don't remember it explaining that at all. And I don't think the person playing it knew this at all throughout the entire game. But yeah, that little QTE is dependent on the harpoon tip. And so it changes a little bit, like the baseline one and the enhanced harpoon tip. You basically just mash a button until the gauge is full and try to keep it there until the event is over. And then you can capture the fish. There's another one, the poison tip. You actually have to spin your mouse either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on which way it's showing, until it fills up that gauge. It's
got mini games for stuff.
Yeah. So it does vary it up a little bit depending on what kind of tip you have on the harpoon. So that is, I think, another core element, because you're going to be using a harpoon a lot. So because it is unlike all the other weapons. The harpoon doesn't have ammo, so you can just use it however much you want, but it has a very limited range is the biggest issue. But when you start leveling that up, it actually does a lot of damage. So it's actually a pretty reliable weapon in that respect. And when you capture with it, it gives you better quality food. Another thing is eventually you are able to, you find these weapons in the blue hole itself. There's little weapons crates that you can open up and stuff like that. And you can find these weapons down there just randomly. And then once you find a certain number of these different weapons, you can eventually, Duff will be able to make these weapons, and you can start the dive with these weapons already equipped. You can upgrade those into different versions of those same weapons as well, which is nice. So you can have a basic rifle, but you can have it shoot tranquilizing bullets, or electric bullets, or stuff like that. So one aspect of that is when you find these weapons in the blue hole, you can disassemble them. And something that wasn't really clear, at least again with the person I was watching, harpoon tips count as weapons for this. So there were frequently times when she would open up a crate, it would be a harpoon tip, and she would just leave it, not realizing that you can disassemble the harpoon tips as well. So that is, I think, another aspect that is good to remember is disassembling, because disassembling weapons is one of the best ways that you can get the materials you need to build the weapons before you dive. And just like a lot of other games in this kind of this same vein, this adventure style game, you can get upgrades for your equipment. You can upgrade your wetsuit, which increases the amount of depth you can safely go. You can upgrade your cargo capacity. You can upgrade the harpoon to do more damage. You can upgrade. You can eventually get net drones that you can send down. You can upgrade those and get a greater number of those. I think one of the most important ones, though, and I think the biggest consideration, is the O2 tanks. The way that oxygen works in this game is it is effectively your hit points. It's effectively your health. So when you take damage, it reduces your O2. But the other thing to keep in mind is it's not just your health, but it's also your timer. Because your O2 is steadily going down the longer you dive as well. So that, I think, is one of the biggest ones to upgrade early on, because then you can extend your dives. You don't have to worry about getting knocked out.
It's pretty common sensey in that way.
Yeah. But I do think it is something to consider as well, that it's like, oh, not only is it your health, but it's also a timer. So it's both of those elements.
It's another that big time management situation.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the fish and the recipes and the different kinds and the different ways to catch them that are better for different fish was like giving me Pokemon vibes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, one of the other characters that shows up later, it basically has, like, that's how they track your catalog of, like, the fish that you catch, is this guy named, I believe, Sato. Basically, like, the like middle-aged Ash Ketchum coming out on a boat to you and says, hey, I believe they call it Marika or something like that, where it's it's basically like a catalog of all the fish you've caught, but it shows them as like trading cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, mentioning Pokemon, it's like, that's kind of in here too.
I got a big kick out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like some of the characters, again, are just kind of funny. Like Sato, you have Dr. Bacon, which is great. It's like, I think there's a photographer who I forgot what his name was, but he's in there too.
Yeah, a lot of the characters that come into the restaurant part of the story is just so much fun.
Oh yeah. So, well, speaking of the restaurant, that segue into this. So once you're done with your dives and whatever else you're doing, you go into the restaurant for the night. And some of the core elements of the restaurant is, first you start by preparing your menu. And I think one kind of common mistake is trying to fill every single slot on your menu with some kind of item, which isn't really necessary. If you have a bunch of items where you only have a couple, only like a little bit of the ingredients, then you can kind of, okay, I have six recipes that I'm very low on ingredients for, so I'll just do all 6 of these and try to get like all of these ingredients out of the way, type of thing. But if it's something that you have a bunch of ingredients for, you can go with like 2 or 3 dishes and just go with that instead of having to.
This is another real life applicable to restaurants. They try to do too many things. They have a 5-page menu. Like, you're better off using what you have that's, while it's still good and fresh. And if you can only make 1 or 2 things, just make a bunch of that. And that's what they get.
Yeah.
And like that works in this restaurant. Even when you're starting and you've got one thing, you've got getting the hang of the drinks. You don't have any help yet. You haven't been able to hire anybody. It was giving me old school, like, root beer tapper. You're
Yeah.
just basically it's going back and forth and back and forth,
Yeah.
and you have to pour. It's got the mini game to pour.
Yeah, and later, like you start off with the green tea for the drinks, and then later on you get beer, which is a slightly different mini game, and then even later on, you get cocktails, which is like you have to like manage 3 different colors of stuff in there. It gets pretty in depth, but yeah,
It's great progression. It's what keeps this
Yeah.
game like
yeah,
interesting for that long.
and
And at first glance, you don't see a lot of that. It's just like, oh, this is kind of cute. And for some reason, Dave the Diver looks like Dom DeLuise from the Cannonball Run movies. Like, that was the first thing I thought about. I saw that, and I was like, da, 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 Captain Thunderball. And I was just waiting for like Burt Reynolds to be behind him and slapping him. And
Yeah, the
but I
whole
just
plot
love-
has that, like
yeah,
from the
Yes!
beginning. Like, all right, we gotta open this restaurant and come and you be my investor, and then like, oh, a hurricane happened. Now it's just you. Let's do
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all very
hilarity
thrown
ensues
together.
with your dumpy dude becomes a diver.
yeah, and again,
Like the
it's like
development team had a dartboard.
It's just Dave.
yeah, and that's another thing about the character is like, especially Dave. It's like he's not the character you would expect him to be. As
No.
like the situations that he gets himself into and out of throughout this game are kind of like there's this whole like Metal Gear Solid like sequence that he goes through, and he's like, this guy is about as stealthy as a bull elephant in broad daylight, and somehow gets through all of this. So
Yeah, he's not your like charismatic protagonist.
Yeah.
He's fumbling through existence, and it's charming.
yeah, I mean he's
A lot of his
arguably
stuff is just kind of meh, and it's like some of the stuff is like super. I mean, at least from the setups, it's like super engaging, and it's like, well, this seems dangerous, and he's like, oh yeah, danger is my middle name. All right, and so
yeah, but yeah. So like when you're starting off in the restaurants, you do the menu. One option that is kind of in general a good idea to use is you can put the dishes to auto supply. So what you would do, like normally when you're starting off, you have the option to put a certain number of dishes on the menu. And then once that's done, it's just done for the night. They don't make any more. If you put it on auto supply, though, you put one of the dish on the menu, put it on auto supply, it's made to order. So if it's out on the menu and if you still have ingredients left over, it'll just keep on adding it to the menu. So you won't run out of that item until you run out of ingredients for it, which can be both good and bad. Generally, it's okay to do that, but especially dishes that are made from like you can get like I mentioned, there are boss fights in this game, and you can get special like one-time meat from these or ingredients from these bosses, and most of the time, those give you like one quote unquote dish or like one portion of the meat gives you 10 dishes. It's like 10 portions that you can sell. So putting those on auto supply is generally a bad thing because it's like, okay, you go through those first 10 dishes and you need one more. It's going to make another 10 dishes and you're going to waste nine dishes out of that. It's better to just go like, okay, we'll just cut it off at 10 rather than going to 20 and wasting half of it. So there is that element of management as well. Just trying to figure out, like how many dishes do I think am I going to sell this night? That's one of the big
Predicting
questions.
demand.
Yeah. Trying to match the demand. Try to match the demand for the dishes because that's going to be the most efficient way because then you're not going to be wasting ingredients and stuff like that. Sometimes it's difficult to do that though. So I don't know. I haven't decided on whether or not it's better to under or over supply. I don't know. I don't know if there's any like one absolute best tactic. But in general, auto supply is usually a pretty good idea, except with those bigger dishes. And like you were mentioning, September was mentioning earlier, like staff. Eventually, you can get staff for your restaurant, but when you're starting off, you have to do everything yourself. So you're running dishes out to the customers. You're cleaning places after they leave. You're pouring drinks. You're making sure the wasabi is supplied and everything. Which is, it's all well and good, except you only have a very limited amount of stamina for Dave to run to get these things done, and time is a factor with your customers. So it is. Eventually, you do get staff though, and they have general stats and stuff like how good they are at cooking, how good they are at serving, and all that kind of stuff. But for them to do, initially what they'll do is they will just serve. They'll just take the dishes and run them to customers, which in itself is pretty useful. Eventually, you can train these guys, you can train all of them, and they do get perks. And like I still think one of the best perks you could potentially get on any one serving is drink serving. It's like, I don't want to deal with drinks at all. I don't want to deal with those mini games. Get like at least one person to drink serving, and then just go with that. You can have a total
There's
of
a
4.
reason we hire a bartender separately from the rest of the wait staff.
Yeah. I mean, just getting rid of having to do drinks is immense, because some of those drink mini games can be a challenge.
And time consuming.
Yeah, that too. Like even trying to time the beer, because like in order to get perfect, you have to have like 20% head on the beer, and you have to time it well because you only got one shot to do it. So just being able to have the staff take care of that is like so much easier. And it's like, I don't mind cleaning dishes. I legitimately did that in a restaurant for a job once, so I don't really care. And then like also you can have up to 4 staff members in the restaurant, 2 for serving, drink serving, and stuff like that. Oh, it doesn't include cocktails though. Oh, I thought it did. I thought the gameplay, I'm pretty sure in the gameplay I saw it did include cocktails. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying attention well enough. But okay, at least takes care of the beer and the tea. So those are 2 things out your way. But you can have 2 people out serving. You can have 2 people helping the cook, helping Macho make food and everything. So it just makes it faster and send it out. But you can have more people on your staff. You can actually send people out to gather ingredients. So that is another way of gathering ingredients other than just going into the blue hole and trying to find them at random. Or eventually you do get a farm, you can get ingredients that way as well. So it like having to get like wasabi, soy sauce and mayo and stuff like that. You can send staff members out to get that, which is nice. And like I said, you can train them, and training them not only just increases their stats, but also gives those perks. Each character can have 2 perks, and those can be upgraded depending on what level they're at. And then also at certain levels, some of these staff members will allow you to learn a new recipe, which is very helpful, because normally the only other way you can learn recipes is you'll get what's called Artisan Fire, which is one of I'm not going to go into too much super in depth because it is pretty well tutorialized in there, but there's a bunch of different factors in upgrading the restaurant. Like there's an app. A lot of these things you can manage through an app on your phone. One of them is called Cooksta, which is basically it's kind of like Instagram, but just for restaurants.
Yeah.
So like you have to try to gain a social media following on there, and that helps increase your rating through the app and everything, and improves gives you more recipes, and you can access and stuff like that. So that's part of it, is advancing through Cooksta to increase the rating of your restaurant. There's for such a seemingly simple game at first glance, there's a lot of complexity that you get to. But again, I do think it's paced pretty well. I don't feel like it gives you too much at one time. like it does give you just like, okay, this is what this means, and like the next night it's like, okay, we're gonna add this. This is what this means, so on and so forth. But so I do appreciate that. Actually, one other thing that September mentioned earlier that I forgot to mention about the restaurant. So there are events. You also get VIPs that come to the restaurant. They hear about the up and coming Bancho sushi and want to taste it. And so usually what that does is the VIP, very person important. They'll come into there and say, "Hey, I've heard her tale of how great the sushi is here, and want to give you a challenge and everything." And Bonch is like, "Okay, come back in 3 days, and I'll get you this thing." And he'll send Dave to go out and get specific ingredients and stuff like that, and they'll come back and make the dish for the VIP. And that's another instance where the cutscenes are just hilarious.
Oh, they're so wonderful.
It's like
Over the top, that
Yeah.
anime dancing stuff around.
Uh-huh.
Oh, mommy, and hearts and all.
Yeah,
random-
woman taking a bite of the food and then like levitating with hearts behind her.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've been there.
I think my
An
favorite
anime
though.
version of When Harry Met Sally in the diner.
I can see that. I think my favorite though is I believe they call him Michael Bang. He's a movie director based off of Michael Bay.
Michael
So his
Bay,
whole thing
yeah.
is his explosions and stuff
Lens
like that.
flares and explosions.
Yeah. It's so funny, the VIPs that you get in there. But yeah, that adds a little bit of an extra challenge to it. So it's not just, it breaks it up quite a bit that way. So it's not just, okay, just go into there, get certain ingredients, trying to like, there's definitely a progression to the game. And it always feels like you're striving towards something rather than just kind of mindlessly going into the blue hole, which, not a euphemism, but
It is now.
yeah, I know. Well, it doesn't. Like I said, they mix it up very well. I think it's paced very well, and just in general, this game just oozes charm. Oh
Yes.
and yeah, and like another part of it is the sea people. You like eventually go there actually is a chapter. There's, I believe, 7 chapters to this game, so there is actually a story progression throughout this game as well. And part of that story takes you into the sea people's village and stuff like that. So there's
It's got an adventure element, like exploration adventure.
Yeah, it's
as
not
well
just
as-
fishing roguelike.
Yeah.
So, and again, the story just oozes charm. It's like everything is just so charming about it, and just like even the elements when you're fighting militant Greenpeace, it's just like there's
Oh my god, yeah. And then there's that part of me, because you get to
But
a
that
certain
was-
point with so much that happened, you're like, of course that's in here.
yeah.
But then there's,
Yeah.
I mean, spoilers, if anybody cares. They turn out to not be who they
Well,
purported
yeah.
themselves
Yeah,
to be.
that whole
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid,
It's got intrigue.
that whole Metal Gear
Yeah.
Solid part of the game is you
As an M. Night
infiltrating.
Shyamalan twist.
You're trying to infiltrate their base, and Dave finds out that they're like grinding up dolphins to sell as food or something.
Yeah.
So it's
something,
like,
with the
huh.
dolphins.
That's kind of counterintuitive. But yeah, it has this. There's nothing like super. It's just charming. I don't know any other way of saying it. Just from the art style, from the gameplay, this is definitely on my list. This is definitely one that I want to play.
Like, it's really good. It's casual, but it still has such a good progression that you
Yeah.
stay interested and challenged enough.
Yeah. I mean, having like when I think at the point when you might start feeling bored, that's when there's like, okay, we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to add this element to it. Or it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
something surprising will happen at about the right time.
yeah. And like with, everyone knows about my dislike of open world games and how it's just like, you can do whatever you want. And my question is why? I like the fact that this has a story progression that has goals that you can achieve, and they're not like super long range goals where it's like, okay, you have like somewhere at the end of the game you have to make sure that you're leveled up enough to beat this boss. It's like, no, it's like, okay, your next goal is like in 3 days. And it's like, get enough fish for this thing. And it's like, I
here's what
really
you have to do by this time. Go.
yeah, I appreciate that they
quests.
have those multiple short-term goals rather than one massive long-term goal. It makes it much easier to progress through the game. And like Jess is mentioning also in our chat, they have some pretty interesting DLCs to this as well. Like one of which is to tie it into the game that we're going to be talking about next week. They actually have a dredge a dredge DLC to this game, which adds a little bit of the horror elements of dredge into Dave the Diver, which is really interesting. I looked through some of the DLCs. There was I believe a Godzilla DLC or update or something like that. There was the dredge one. There's one that's the recent Yakuza Like a Dragon games take place in Hawaii, and they have a DLC with one of those characters in there, which I think is hilarious. So it definitely has. It's meant to be more lighthearted. It's just like with Dave just being, he's not a superhero. He's not an action star or anything. He is a very, very round, dopey looking dude, who's just charming as hell. Just wholesome.
He's my inspiration now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, somebody can do that? Me next.
Yeah. He definitely does not look like the stereotypical person who could dive that deep, and he's just does it. Oh, so definitely highly recommend this game. It is one that I will add to my. I can't think of words now.
Wish list.
Yeah. Well, it's on my wish list, but yeah, just add it to my game list. Hopefully in the near future. Yeah. Especially with some of the DLCs. Like I think the person I was watching did do the Dredge DLC. But I didn't watch that one recently. So I'm still a little bit fresh for that one. But definitely highly recommend. And part of the so Jess, I have some potential plans for streaming. I don't know when I'm going to get to them, but yeah, this probably would be one that I would stream. It is pretty good. It's a good game to be able to interact with people on stream as well. But yeah, it's just a factor of health stuff at this point. But but yeah, definitely highly recommend this game. Either of you have any other notes that you wanted to mention? I think we've covered quite a bit of this.
Nope, they got everything in there. It's good.
It's like a lot of games that, and I've mentioned before, I love discovering something I didn't think I would not just like, but it's like at first glance, like if you see like screen capture, like, okay, yeah, it's it's meant to be kind of indicative of a little side scroller, just that 8-bit, but that's like very minute snapshots of what's really going on in the game.
Yeah.
And there's just actually so much that they've thrown at it where you can't help but to wonder if they like had a dartboard with like all these ideals and then blindfolded themselves. And it's like, okay, overweight guy, he can die for some reason. We'll call him Dave. And it all just kind of meshes so well. And they, the developers themselves, you can tell, probably had fun with it. They probably had a few moments where they threw something in and looked at each other and it's like, yeah, that might as well happen, sure.
Yeah.
And to their credit, it works. It's a very charming game. It's fun. It's kind of adorable in its sense. It plays with anime and a lot of just kind of different genres, and a lot of it is like just seeing what's going to stick to the wall.
Yeah.
And that was and games like that are kind of funny, and it's not Doki Doki, so I always give it that it's I guess the best way to put this game is it's adorable.
Yeah.
And at
Kind of adorable.
$19.99, I think that's a really
Oh, yeah.
perfectly fair price point for the
Yeah.
hours of quality gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
And
'Cause-
something
'cause-
so charming.
Yeah, I mean, even if you try to just rush through it, it is still going to take a while to get through, which is nice. And for the part-time gamer aspect of all this as well, it's very easy to break up. Like I said, because it has those multiple short-term goals, and it's like, okay, I'm going to get to this day, get this VIP. Wow.
There you go.
I'm going to get this VIP event done and then call it a night. And that'll be a good stretch gameplay. Or you can just say, I'm just going to get through this dive, take a break after that, and go from there. So it gives you a lot of off ramps to pick up and put down the game, which is really good. Oh, yeah. Overall, it's just a fantastic game. It deserves all the praise that it got when it came out. So yeah, definitely highly recommend this game. Going to be adding it to my list at some point. Oh, we do have a couple minutes left, so we have a little bit of time to do some water cooler talk.
You get that thing I sent you?
Oh, nothing
Yeah.
like a Chipotle fart in a closet.
So probably the biggest news this past week, they did the Switch 2 Direct. So they have officially announced Switch 2, and then literally like a day or two later, they said, okay, you remember all of those announcements that we just did with all the pre-ordering and stuff like that and the price point? Yeah, screw all that, because, okay, this is probably going to be the one time I'm going to do this. I'll probably edit it for the actual release of this, but Trump, okay?
So foxglove, daisies, and tulips.
Yeah.
That's the shirt. I need to get one. It's out there with the FDT
Yeah.
and pretty flowers.
Yeah.
So yeah. Although the one thing about the announcement before that even happened, the pre-order requirements were wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Nintendo
needed,
is
like,
weird.
I think 50 hours of co-play and how many months or years of Nintendo Direct to
Yeah.
even be allowed to pre-order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of ridiculous because it's like, who are you going to tell me to game? Like, I mean, the money's still green right there, Nintendo's.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, I mean, this has been such long awaited and they had all this time. Is there a supply problem they were worried about before they decided to blame the tariffs that they knew were also coming? Well, or not, or they
Yeah.
are, or they're not,
Yeah.
or they are.
and then like the whole
Yeah.
price point as well.
We don't know.
Yeah. The whole price point of it, being they announced it as the base version with just the console is $449.99. With Mario Kart World packed in, it's $499. This was before they announced this, before they all of a sudden retracted and said, we got to wait to see what happens with the tariffs before we can give a final price. Which means that these could potentially cost significantly more. And that it's like, this even at that price point is the most expensive Nintendo console to date.
It's
like
been
even
estimated it'll be in the $600 range if they decide to go through with the tariff still in place.
Yeah.
So it's going to go from a Nintendo to a Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this one tweet. It's like, if the tariffs didn't go through, what would be the biggest difference going on right now? And someone posted, I'd be pre-ordering a Switch 2.
Yep.
And it's like, the thing is, like, even if at that price point, it's like, that is something that I would not be able to get. Like, period.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the games were going to be going for $80.
well, yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
thing is, that's the digital
At a
download of
median
the
price.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a median price. It could very much be upwards of that, which some gamers obviously are used to playing. But number one, it's like, no, because I mean, we cover them all the time. There's a slew of games that are tested and we don't have to pay $80 and cross our fingers and go, this better not.
Yeah.
I missed my car payment for this. And
Yeah.
then with a global crashing economy kind of happening in mid-moment, it's like, game system or ramen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Oh
much.
no.
It's like,
Yeah.
I know a
can't-
bunch of people who would pick the Switch first.
yeah, probably. Oh, but it's like, even
But even
like,
if it does happen now, it's
Yeah.
probably going to be that we don't know where the price is going to be.
yeah,
It might be you can't get it in the US. It'll be where it'll be the hardest to get. Like, ugh.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, even like, I have a Switch Lite, and
Yep.
I actually won this from work. This is literally the only reason why I even have this. Oh, so the only consolation I could potentially think of, because, like, honestly, at least the games that they have on there, I don't really care.
Yep.
I'm hoping that this would maybe like give a good boost to the resale market of the original Switch, because I would actually be content with just getting a full normal Switch 1 rather
Yep.
than a Switch 2. But yeah,
Yeah.
even at
Except,
like a
you know, stock up on a bunch of Joy-Cons because
yeah. Oh,
the drift is still a thing.
yeah. But even then, it's like the other biggest. I foresee, that Nintendo is going to kind of have a reckoning, where it's like they've been such a premier name for so long in video games that they can kind of just do whatever they want. I mean, they're charging $500 for what is an inferior console compared to Xbox or PlayStation. So they're still charging quite a bit for this. The games, yes, they're widely considered to be very good, but for $80 for something like this, and
Yep.
and also the fact that
They're not all Breath of the Wild, and
yeah,
you can't just keep upcharging more Mario games. And
yeah,
Yep.
and
it
the
doesn't
other
work
big
that way. I'm
factor,
glad my kids are grown. Like, I've
Yeah.
been on that platform for years and years and years, and the primary, like, deciding to go ahead with the Wii and the Wii U and the Switch was games we can play as a family.
Yeah.
They had a really good market on, and I don't need super high graphics and Twitch content, and like
Yeah.
when it's family, focus and
Yeah.
party games in a
engaging at that
room,
level.
they are really good at that
yeah,
compared to other platforms. Now that we have Steam, I mean, for that price, I'm going to Steam Deck and I can play Jackbox Party Pack with my friends. And, nobody
do
needs to ever
fun
play
with that.
Mario Party
Yeah.
again.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Even GameCube.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, even with GameCube, there was a time where
So
they.
good.
Oh yeah, we still have ours. And I
Yeah.
still got like the Ed and Eddie game and like the Batman being game. And there's just so much that they've done on their own, and it was always kind of sobering to see them influence the market. It was seemingly at their own pace, and it's not a matter of trying to play in the console wars league, which I don't even believe in the console wars anymore. It's like you like what you like, and
Yeah.
now that there's so many other alternative, it's like for some people it's like, well, what's a console? Like, I don't
Yeah.
need that to actually have immersive, consistent streaming gaming. I don't
Yeah.
have to hook up to a $500-$600 piece of machinery. I can literally do it, on the microcomputer I carry in my pocket as a phone.
Yeah.
So for Nintendo this is almost like them punching up outside of their weight class. And it just feels like, don't be Ubisoft. Don't think you can go outside of what you should be and then turn into this. Because now I feel like this is also going to be like a reckoning, is like looking at Nintendo. But now all the other consoles and gaming platforms are going to be like, oh, if they can get away with 80, we can get away with 90. And if they can get
Yeah.
away with 450 for this, we can get away with 800. And that was like scalping prices, like when people were, buying stuff and then throwing them on eBay. And it kind
Yeah.
of, it's
You would have
it's
thought
kind of
they would have seen what PlayStation did and not do this.
it
Yeah.
would be nice, but
Well,
it seems like it's turning into what the market will bear. And it's funny because you have
yeah.
an economy exploding and then these tariffs, and it's like, what market? Like, people have to
Yeah.
make like real decisions now, and it looks like it's going to be like that for a while because democracy or the lack thereof or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean that is the big thing is like because Nintendo is so litigious, because they are so exclusive, I think that kind of ties into it. It's like they kind of feel like, well, we can get away with these prices because this is the only way you're going to be able to get these games. And that's the other, like one of the other factors about this whole thing is it's like their stuff never goes on sale, like ever. It very rarely goes on sale, and a lot of times it's like, okay, we'll give you $5 off this $80 game, stuff like that. And it's like this is one of the reasons why I have not had a console since Xbox 360. This is the last console I owned, and I'm pretty sure I got rid of that like shortly after I got married, and have not had a console since. And haven't really
Yeah.
felt like
That's always
need
been
one.
a Nintendo thing, though. Like, even Game Boy games retain their value.
Which is just kind of weird to me. Oh, but it's
Although I will say my best GameCube stuff was, did y'all get your Cube at GameStop, and they had that insurance?
Yep.
And
I don't even remember where.
So
I got
like,
my
no
GameCube
matter
from.
what went wrong with it, you could go in there and get a new one for $5.
Yeah,
Or
it was
refurbished
like
one.
Sears and Craftsman back in the day, where it's
Over
like,
and over and over, because those drives failed all the time.
Yeah.
But you could just go get a new one.
Yep.
Over
Yeah,
and
and
over.
you go to I just got this image of like you go up to the
So
cashier.
they probably
and
got
it's like
screwed there.
the cashier just kind of looks. He's like, "Why does this have a dent and human hair on it?" It's like, well, they gave it a handle for a reason.
exactly.
Anyway. Well,
That's when they were playing the Monopoly game in GameCube with Grandma. It's like, nobody wants Baltic Avenue.
oh, but yeah, it's just at these price points, it's just too much. And like I think it's again because it is so much before a lot of with Nintendo it was okay, it's not going to be, it's usually not as expensive as the consoles because it is technically an inferior technological console as compared to the other ones, but the games are good and everything like that. And it's like, and these are the only ways you're going to get these games. But now it's like, okay, this is really expensive for just the console, and the price is probably going to go up because again, Trump.
Yeah, like
But-
Nintendo already screwing the pooch. 2 hours later, our brilliant president decides to ask
Yeah.
Chat GPT how to calculate your tariffs.
Yeah. No, not even Chat GPT. Like Chat GPT if it was run by a cavalcade of apes. But anyway,
Hey, I like apes.
the problem is they don't like you.
That's
No,
ape.
if you ask it and you ask it wrong, if you're a moron like him, it actually spits out the method they used,
No, gee.
where they
You know,
take the
makes me
trade
wonder.
deficit and they divide by 2. That's what they did. It has nothing to. Anyway.
Anyway, part-time blamers.
I just have a question.
Uh,
Real quick, and this is not even political. This is just optics. This is just what we see and what there is. If he golfs so much, why is he terrible at it?
Anyway, but it's like all that. It's like it's getting to the point where again we're having to make these decisions of it's like, is it worth it to spend this much money on something that is technologically inferior to computers, most computers, to consoles and everything like that, on games that might be good, that we like. A lot of these are not known quantities right now. And even then it's like, okay, am I going to spend $80 on a digital version? And mind you, I think the way that their game cards work now is it doesn't even have the game on the card. It's $10 more to get you a card that allows you to download the game,
Download. Yep.
which
And I think it doesn't work if you don't keep your Nintendo Direct up.
yeah, it's just like
Which is crazy.
we have the biggest thing is now we're getting alternatives. It's like, especially a lot of the whatever third party games there are, which a lot of them are similar to some of their first party titles. So it's like we have
And computers
alternatives
last
now.
longer now too.
Yeah.
Like I think they may have lost sight of, because the Switch one, how long? It was 7 years ago,
Something like that.
Love that.
right? So that is a long time for you to be able to count on your desktop being able to still run new games.
Yeah.
So there is a longevity factor to the console in that instance.
Well, but yeah, then
is it worth that much?
Yeah.
Like,
and the
and
other
am I going to be able to, like, I don't have to upgrade my computer for 10 years because I use a Mac, and
Yeah.
but there will be games that come out I will not be able to play as time goes on. That's how that works. And,
Well-
it just becomes a more and more basically functioning thing until until it breaks.
I think we're going to run into that less and less though, because we're starting to get to like the upper end of what is even capable of, like what's reasonable for development. It's like, I think someone said that, or like there was some, it's like the human eye cannot perceive clearer than like 8K.
Oh, but people still want it.
Well,
One of my kids is like that. He wants these monitors with this frame rate that it's like, do you understand you can't see that? I can.
I can't keep up
No,
with
yeah,
no, you can't.
but I mean,
It's just
like
like
even
not physically possible.
and also like the other factor of it, especially for streaming, is the platforms that you're streaming on. And it's like, at least
Only so
YouTube
much
and
bandwidth.
YouTube and Twitch don't broadcast at 4K. The highest they go, I think, is 1080p.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if I can't, like, what's the point of me playing a game at 4K to just downgrade it so other people can watch it? When it's like, I frankly don't care. I mean, the screen that I'm looking at right now is literally about 2.5 feet from my face. I don't need 4K. It's like, if I was,
I'm old. I'm starting to get cataracts. I won't notice the difference.
Yeah. So, but we're like hitting that upper limit. So it's like because of that, it's like I have a 3060 in my computer, and that's able to run basically every game I play at full graphics. So,
Well, that's why. That's why I love 4K in movies. And they're like, "Hey, remember this cult movie that was made back when for no money?" And then it's like, "Well, we have it in 4K now. Won't it look great?" And I did that actually with the first Evil Dead, which I still will always adore. And the movie looks worse because it's clearer.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that is actually an argument for people have had for CRTs.
The movie, you make out so much of the issues with it, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Doesn't it look better?" I'm like, "Does it?"
Define better.
Yeah.
But
Better than
yeah,
what?
so yeah. Anyways, bottom line, it was announced. Who knows what the price is going to be? Or like according to them, it's
Nintendo
still going to
doesn't.
be. Yeah,
It was announced and then not.
yeah. I mean, they're still saying that they're going to hold to the official release date, which I believe is June 5th.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're
Still
still
technically set in the U.S. for you June 5th.
yeah, but we don't know what the final price is going to be or when the pre-orders are going to start. So yeah, it just
It says, they're not going to start when they were, which was
I
today.
look like today. Yeah,
Today.
Yeah.
yeah,
April 6th.
yeah,
And then, oh, well, no.
yeah.
Never mind.
So I just dumpster fire. Anyway,
We're back.
yeah. On
Hey,
that note,
but at least my eggs are not expensive.
everything's expensive. It's like
Mine have always been the same because I get them from my friend who has chickens. All through the pandemic and everything. My eggs still cost what they did in
That's
2020.
it. 25% tariff on that chicken.
Oh, anyway.
Chicken tariffs for all.
All right, before we go way off the deep end here, let's go ahead and land this plane. So everyone, thank you for watching. Join us next week like I said, we're going to be talking about Dredge, continuing our theme of fishing games. This is another one that's been on my list for a while. Looks really interesting. Not quite as charming, more intimidating, I guess, than Dave the Diver, but still very good mechanics, very good story to it. Really want to get into this. But everyone, thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard and would like to help us out, a few ways you can do that are by giving us a review over on Apple Podcast. You can follow my Twitch and YouTube channels for our live recordings Sunday nights starting at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. Actually, Eastern Daylight, whatever time, Eastern Time, whatever it is. Daylight Savings Time is a sham. Anyways, or you can become one of our patrons. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord channel. You can find the show and the links to everything around it using the link bit.ly/CI Productions. That'll send you to get links for the Patreon, the Discord, and all the other stuff that's associated with it. Amber, where can people find you around the internet?
If you go to 9of12.com, that's NINEOF12.com, it'll point you to all my little projects around the internet.
All right. And Theo, where can people find you around the internet? That's safe for work.
Wait, depends on where they work.
Well, true.
And 9 of 12, I have to say that was a great Casey Kasem-esque voice you just did right there. You can find all my productions across the little internet. I was like, I'm Casey Kasem and on with
the radio.
Right now, Rabbit in Red is back, sort of. We actually had technical difficulties. We tried to do a film commentary of Steel Magnolias.
Okay.
Okay, so we did one for a horror movie. We did one for Halloween 4. And as a joke on that show, on that stream, he was like, so what should we pick next? And I don't drink anymore, but without skipping a beat for a gag, I went, Steel Magnolias. And we get off the thing, and he goes, okay, so what day do you want to do so we have enough time to watch Steel Magnolias? I'm like, oh, you took me to task. You didn't know it was a joke. But we tried that. We had some issues, so we're working out some kinks. We should have a new episode Thursday. And then so far, I haven't had anything solo for a while because, as we aforementioned, March has been kind of rough, but I think April, springs eternal. So right now, not too much, but getting there. But first things first, glad to be back here.
Yeah. Glad to be back from our little break there. I think I definitely needed it. So I appreciate everyone being patient with us while we'll deal with stuff behind the scenes. But hopefully we should be good to go from now on. Yeah.
But I missed you guys.
I did too.
You guys do?
All right. With that, everyone, until next time, we are the Part-Time Gamers clocking out.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.